Hello my friends and welcome to Wise World. In this video we are going to talk about realistic art goals, and what we're doing we are going to draw YouTube as an anime demon. So let's get into it now. I hear a lot of people saying things like I'm making a graphic novel, or I want to be an animator, I want to be a manga artist, anything along those lines, and that's a brilliant, it's a great dream to have, but I sometimes wonder, whether, do we know how much that actually takes, because I certainly didn't. So this video is going to be looking at, I'm not an accomplished artist, so we're going to look at my failings, and based on my failings then give you some advice around sort of better preparation and how to set some achievable goals for yourself to keep your art directed. Whether you're a hobbyist or you're doing it to try and become professional in some sense, you'll probably still be able to gather some information and a little bit of my experience, which should be able to help you shape the way you think about your own journey. So I've got my own story here that I'm going to share with you about my own comic that I've made, and then we're going to get back into drawing this. We're going to wax some paint into this, get it finished up. This is an anime demon slash monster of what YouTube would look like if it was an anime. So a little while back, I say it's about 10 years ago, I created this terribly painted cover, but it's like a storyboard. So I effectively wrote an entire story, and storyboarded and scripted it as I went along. I'd literally draw bits of it on the bus and do all sorts of things, but again, this wasn't, my dream was to have a comic book written and published, and without sort of realizing how many stages it would take and sort of what I would need to do in order to get to the stage that I needed to, and sort of realizing that this was sort of, I was trying to jump ahead too fast with what I was doing, and just sort of, if I had set myself goals instead, so I'd sort of learned some of the basics first without just sort of having the knowledge of reading them and liking them and thinking, yeah, I can do that, I probably would have managed to get a little bit further. But instead, the dream turned into an unachievable one, when I didn't set any sort of steady goalposts to meet in the process. I did actually do six books, but this is book 5. But I can't find any of the other ones. The artwork got a little bit better actually, and I'll say better, I know that's still not great. it's still, like I said, it's storyboarding, but it was good fun, but it kind of it made it feel unattainable, because I'd done all this work. I'd done far more work than I needed to at the storyboard stage, and it just drowned me out really. So that's what you don't want to do. So we're going to get back to painting the YouTube anime demon. I am sort of using a monochromatic sort of style. I'm going to add another colour in, probably maybe add some purple, which I suppose is still partially on the red spectrum. Obviously, as this is supposed to be YouTube, I'm going to obviously heavily use the colour red to kind of point that out. So art goals. So what are your art goals? Do you have any art goals? Have you currently set yourself anything? We've got Inktober coming up, so are you going to participate in Inktober? If you don't know what Inktober is, I suggest you do a little Google search on Inktober, because you've either been living in a cave or you're just only really starting now to look into art slightly more seriously. Either way is fine, I don't judge. We're here to learn together. So art goals. So my personal art goals at the moment. So when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't have any art goals. The whole point in me getting back into art, because I've been into it for years, but the last 7 to 8 years I've probably barely touched pencil and paper, pen and paper, paint, anything. So for me at first it was a way of dealing with some issues I was having, some anxiety stuff going on, and it kind of rekindled my passion for it fully. And a friend of mine suggested I should put it on YouTube, and that was my first sort of look at actually having goals for my art. Previous to that, my art was always personal for me, and there was a small period where I got into making sort of tattoo flash art for other people, but I never really did it seriously, and I didn't have enough confidence in my art to really provide that service for people in the first place. So rather than work on the basics, I just kind of gave up on it and moved on to things that were more fruitful, things that I could earn money from, that were steady, stable careers. And yeah, I mean, it was, you know, it's good to have stable career, and you know, everyone should have some form of stable career choices. However, I wouldn't give up your art just because work's more important. I would just find a way to fit it in. And again, this is where having goals, achievable goals, can really, you know, help that. So you know, even just making your goal to make sure you pick up your pen once a day and draw something. I think I spoke briefly about this in my last video, the importance of just doing it whenever you can. But for me, having a goal kind of let me realize things, and when I set the goal out, you can then question it and think, okay, so I want to make a graphic novel. I think, yes, brilliant, because the idea in my mind of making a graphic novel is just the joyous moment of having the crisp new created book in my hands that I've spent, well, I don't suppose I contemplate the time it takes during that vision of that dream. I just imagine it in my hand, finished, and other people possibly enjoying that work as well, on shelves, being sold, and I'm earning money from it. And I never really looked at what actually that means. You know, what process do you have to take? What are the goals I need to set myself in order to do that? So, you know, if you're someone that thinks, if you're one of the people that, like me, is guilty of saying, I want to make a graphic novel and I'm going to start right now, I was just sort of doing a little bit more research and looking at exactly what you need to be to create a graphic novel or become an illustrator or an animator. For instance, you know, to be an animator isn't just to have your credits on an episode of Dragon Ball Z for drawing epic drawings. You know, it's hard labor, daily, unappreciated work, because who really gives credit to the team of multiple animators that drew the arm scenes for Dragon Ball Z's Kamehameha, Goku's Kamehameha scene? You know, that it just doesn't really happen. So, you know, that, and it takes a lot of work. It's painstaking, you know, being an animator. An illustrator, you know, do you have your own style, or are you capable of sort of emulating other styles, and can you change your hand to that quickly? You know, are you good at working with people? If you're going to take commissions, you need to be really good at working with people. Oh yeah, so this is the finished piece. I really like the like black sort of watered effect. But yeah, I think it came out all right, actually. All right, just before you go, guys, I have some homework for you this week. So normally I do speed paints on Monday and Wednesdays, but this week's a little bit different. I'm going to have speed paint on Monday, and on Wednesday I am going to show you. Oh yeah, just quickly, this is some of the new environment work I've been doing for the newest graphic novel I'm working on, which I have set goals for, you'll be pleased to know. So anyway, back to it. So this sketchbook started off as just a normal standard sketchbooks for random crap, and sort of completely deteriorated into a doodle book, starting with that, and yeah, it just kind of went on and on to the point where it took over the entire rest of the book. So what I want you to do, ready for Wednesday's video, is to do one page of random doodles. Anything, just tiny little scribble guys like these. Just have fun with it, and on Wednesday's video we'll discuss the importance of doodling. So I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and it was useful, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.